Welcome, wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by the fans for the fans. And thank you for joining us for episode 56. I am your host, your grumpy old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, and musician, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, even though I haven't bought any in a while, and Steelers fan. Got that win this week, Andy.
Still a Steelers fan. I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
Well, the good news was in football week that the Ravens lost, so that's always a good news if you're a Steelers fan. Well, welcome, gentlemen. Good to see you both again for another week. This week we will be discussing Jon Moxley and Hangman Page, new United States champion, Brock Lesnar returning, and here's the big one, Bray Wyatt returning to Smackdown and cutting a pretty interesting promo. I think there was some realism thrown in there with some of the show, and it was really good, and I can't wait to review that with you all. Before we get started on the show, you can find us on all of our social media by searching at the PW Fan. We should pop right up. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. And we have video episodes every week available on YouTube. If you're joining us right now on Spotify or Apple Podcast and you want to see our faces and watch us chit-chat, you can go to YouTube right now by searching at the PW Fan, where all of our episodes will pop up from this year and last year. And once we get to 100 subscribers on there, we can just make a regular URL, and I can just throw that out in the beginning of the show. We don't have to do that annoying intro. And t-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan. 3 shirt designs. We've had a bunch of people buy shirts. Thank you all so much. Friends, family, listeners. Appreciate you all. And, I think that takes care of all the intro stuff. Andy, I'm going to send it over to you. That's our normal routine. If you're joining us for this first time, I normally do a big, long-winded intro. We send it over to Andy, and he takes us through the show. And Jeremy and I listen to him and kind of answer the questions he presents. So enjoy, and here we go.
First off, God, I wish I had my volume up on my TV right now watching this segment, but we'll have to talk about that next week because I have no idea what they're talking about. I can only imagine between these two groups. So yes, Raw last week opened up with the Bloodline, which, I don't think you see the Bloodline as often on Raw as you do SmackDown. Roman was actually there for once, and the whole, I guess, main theme that went on was addressing Jay's behavior and how he treats Sami Zayn. So basically, it's Roman and the rest of the Bloodline's kind of more on Sami's side than Jay's, and Jay needs to correct his behavior. I think later in the night, Solo Sikoa and Roman got in the car, and he told Jay, now you have to stay back with Sami for his match. And Jay was like, what? Like, you wanted to go out, and they were going out for drinks or something, apparently. That's how they open up the show.
Hanging with the boys.
Hanging with the boys. Later on, we had Seth Rollins was supposed to compete in a match with Bobby Lashley for the U.S. Championship. Before that even started, Brock Lesnar's music came out, and which was really surprising. I don't think most of us expect to see Brock for a while.
Yeah, I did not see this coming. Yeah.
But he gets to the ring. He says, like, good afternoon to the fans. good evening to the fans. Good evening to Bobby. And then he just attacks Bobby. Bobby Lashley's been in babyface, yet you have Brock Lesnar attacking him and getting cheered for it. Kind of odd, but because he got attacked, then Seth Rollins comes out for his match, who has his ribs taped up, and we have a short match. Seth Rollins is now the new United States champion, which I would say he probably hasn't had that belt since around the time Sting was in WWE briefly.
I'm glad he has the belt now.
Yeah, I am too. So it looks like Bobby Lashley and Brock are going to be having a storyline. Before we started recording, I was talking to Jeremy. It's like, when, the last time I remember Brock coming back for not a title was against Dean Ambrose. It's very rare. That was years ago. And this isn't like the first time they've feuded before, so I wonder what the whole purpose, though we'll talk about a little bit next week of what transpired tonight on Raw, in the opener when it pertains to that. But yeah, what's your guys' thought on Brock being back and going for Lashley? He ended up F5ing him and putting him in a Kimura lock.
Definitely didn't see it coming. Like, I mean, Andy and I were talking earlier, but we were like thinking that Brock might not even be back since Triple H took over anyways. So I wasn't sure if we would ever see him again, unless it was for like maybe a one-off thing. But I didn't think we would definitely see him this soon, and also for a non-title feud, which is crazy to me. But it's nice to see a different direction for Brock.
Yeah, and it also again puts Lashley in a position to be taken as a more seriously competitor. I mean, the guy is huge. Size-wise, him and Brock are like the same size. So realistically, it's like, why not build Lashley up to be a bigger, more threatening character than he is now? Plus, and it's best of both worlds. Brock can come in, make a bunch of money, and probably win. But also, in the process, Lashley hopefully gets over even more. Lashley's been like a 20-year experiment, like I don't feel like they've ever found the exact thing that works for him. Like for instance,
believable in the mic. That's part of my problem.
For instance, Roman was kind of like that. It's like, yeah, he's the big, strong guy. You're supposed to like him because he's got like the look, but it never really like connected. But then one day he found something with this head of the table thing, and now it's like in God mode and all that. And it became the thing. I feel like Lashley needs to find Lashley.
You have a friend with the last name Lashley.
Yeah. I feel like Lashley needs to find that thing for him, whatever that is.
I agree. So as the show went on, Rey Mysterio had a match, and at the end of it, Dominic ended up attacking Rey for the first time. I believe it was the first time. I think, actually, no. At Extreme Rules, I think he did one little thing to him, but he attacked him this time, and he wanted Rey to fight back, and Rey refused to. Dominic ended up giving him a 619.
A terrible-looking 619.
Yeah.
Always, dude. It's always so bad.
Too tall.
It's a standard.
Anybody who's tall and does it looks so bad.
Yeah. It's awkward.
Rey was kind of sobbing at the end, and we'll talk about more Rey later, but because of basically the effect of what happened. But that led into a Judgment Day segment where they gave AJ Styles kind of an ultimatum, and AJ comes out, and if you want to see our reactions to what actually happened, you can watch the video last week because it was in the middle of our recording.
Oh, yeah, so excited.
But AJ kneeled down and made it seem like that he was going to join the Judgment Day, gave him a hug, and basically said, that those weren't the guys that, had his back. Out comes Gallows Anderson, the OC, as WWE likes to call them, with AJ. And we were super excited to see them back. So they come out, they attack Finn and the rest of the Judgment Day, which is interesting because, as a lot of people know, Finn used to be the leader of the original Bullet Club, and Gallows and Anderson were a part of that. AJ was the second leader, and they were also part of that version of the Bullet Club. So it looks like we are going to get the OC versus Judgment Day at some point, but as a fan of AJ, as I'm wearing his shirt, and a fan of Gallows and Anderson, I was really happy to see them back. What's your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm excited to see them back too, and especially see them back with not Vince at the top, because I feel like Vince didn't really know what to do with them, and it would happen for a month. Yeah, and he likes them, and it's like they would be good for a month, or like over for a month, and then you wouldn't hear about them forever again, and then they'll leave and come back.
We don't know the deal Triple H, the kind of deals Triple H is willing to make with these guys. We only understand very, vaguely the way that Vince did business. We don't know if, like you said, Andy, Gallows and Anderson have been wrestling all over the world, and like up until now, because I was saying before we started recording that they were looking really crisp in the ring, and Andy was like, dude, they've been wrestling all over the world. And I'm like, yeah, so they're oiled up and ready right now. But I was thinking, like, I mean, we don't know if Triple H cut them a deal like, hey, can you come in and do a program for a month and then you guys can go back to doing your thing? Like, we don't know. You don't know what kind of stuff.
Well, from what I read, it's a big money deal, is the quote.
Nice.
Nice. And also, Carl Anderson is the New Japan champ for, what is it, Andy?
The Neverweight champion in New Japan. From what I was reading before the show started, me and Jeremy were kind of talking, but New Japan, knew that they were, headed to WWE, even though they are booked for Wrestle Kingdom 17. And yes, Carl Anderson is still the Neverweight champ. He won it back in June. I think there's a big thing in wrestling, like fulfill your obligations kind of thing. And I assume, they will, and then Carl Anderson will, drop the title. And like I was telling Jeremy, it's not like New Japan is having shows all the time like WWE is, as frequently. So I'm sure he'll drop that title, they'll do their match, and Wrestle Kingdom will wrap up their kind of dates. Because, in New Japan, I've noticed, you can do a deal, like sign a contract with them, or you just like do little deals like for little programs kind of at a time,
It's like a freelancer contract.
Yeah. So, I would assume that they will finish their dates. If they don't, I can only imagine that New Japan will have to kind of move some things around. They'll have to strip Carl Anderson of the Neverweight title and go from there.
Hopefully it's different for Triple H. Like, he isn't so against that, like, other company thing.
No, I mean, maybe, if anything, I don't think it would be him. It might be like someone like Nick Khan or something. Like, don't have our guys appearing other places. But, we'll just have to wait and see what goes on with that. Moving forward, though, we had the Miz's birthday celebration. He's out there with Maurice. And he goes to open up a present, and it's what's underneath the present is Dexter Lumis's head, popped up through a table.
I don't get this storyline.
The man's silent, Miz ends up, I think, running away. Correct, and ditches Maurice in the ring. And Maurice's face goes into the cake at some point, and she's left there by herself. And the crowd's chanting, "Eat the cake!" to Dexter Lumis. Right. Dexter Lumis takes a piece of the cake and eats it, and the crowd pops. I don't know what's going on, man. I think later in the night he might have passed him out again, and then petted his hair.
Then aren't they having a match? This Monday? Yeah,
I think tonight they're supposed to be.
If Dexter Lumis wins, he gets a WWE contract, which I'm like, how has he been?
Yeah, they said the stipulation last week. So if Dexter Lumis wins, he gets a contract, even though.
So their security is just horrible.
Yeah,
keeping them out.
And if he loses, he can never show up again. I forget what they said, but yeah. So the Miz agreed. Raw wrapped up with the DX reunion. They came out big pop, everyone but Billy Gunn. I loved when the announcers said, well, before we get to that, so Road Dogg does his New Age Outlaws speech, but he says one half of the greatest tag team in the world. Does a whole speech. Corey Graves at one point says, the other guy's doing something with office equipment. Or something weird with office equipment is what he said.
They're moving a lot of office equipment. But you know what's funny?
I don't know. The other guy's doing something weird with office equipment.
Yeah. I'll say this now because I'll forget it later. Then on Dynamite, I don't know if you heard when Billy Gunn came out, and Taz made a joke. He's like, because that's when Billy Gunn was wrestling on Dynamite, and he took off his shirt, and Taz was like, "Man, he must be doing a lot with office equipment or something like that."
Yeah, they like acknowledged each other in some way.
Yeah.
But when he says the Road Dogg Jesse James and then the badass Billy Gunn, Road Dogg pointing the mic to the audience to let the audience, say the badass Billy Gunn part. But I did not hear any scissoring chants, and I don't know if they did it covered up or they just had them continuously talking to where like people were listening and weren't really chanting.
I mean, DX they're all very good at like keeping the crowd's attention and keep talking. So I don't think they had a problem with, even if it was about to happen, they would keep talking.
Now there's a lot of people that think earlier and then go on, Tim. Sorry.
I don't know. There's still part of me that thinks that there's an audience that's a different audience over there. Like I've cut a lot of when I say cut, I mean I cut their hair. I cut a lot of people's hair, and I've noticed with the younger kids, middle school age and stuff, some of my clients, I'll ask them, do you like AEW? And they'll say, yeah, but then they only know like a couple guys from it, So, but then they'll know every WWE guy. So I still think WWE just has their own thing. Like they have their core fans that there's like WWE.
I think the majority of WWE watchers don't watch the other product. I think the crossover is the minority, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
I feel like when you especially for WWE, they like the people who watch that only watch that, not even like any other indie wrestling or AEW.
Because you barely ever see kids. Like, if you look at the front row in an AEW show, like, a teenager maybe, but like usually everybody looks from 18 to like 45. That's like normally the age group that like I always see at AEW shows.
Yeah,
mostly men, but actually a lot of younger women too. I've noticed like probably women in their 20s. They show them a lot on camera too.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see in like another like 4 years, because then that means AEW is around for 8 years then, to see if it starts picking up a little bit.
I think it's been 3, so like 5 more years.
Yeah, but I mean, because they're still a young company, so it takes a while for branding for like kids to start seeing it over and over again.
Right.
I will say about the DX reunion. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but a lot of people did online. When they're in Gorilla and they're talking back and forth with each other before later in the night that they would go out, they eventually all split up and they all go except for Triple H, and Triple H yells out, "No fighting!"
Yeah,
which I feel like was a shot at AEW.
Yeah, that was funny.
I didn't know how to take that. I was like, is he there? I don't know. I really couldn't tell what that was.
I mean, it's like, why else would he say it?
It was random, so I'm like, why else would he say it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, speaking of AEW, let's get into Dynamite. Renee Paquette opens up the show. They're in Toronto. She is now signed with AEW, and it looks like she'll be doing backstage interviews, kind of like what she was doing before in WWE before she had become an announcer.
Formerly known as Renee Young, for anybody not familiar.
Renee Young.
Renee
and I almost
Young,
have forgotten that because
about.
She's been on social media platforms for so long now as Renee Paquette. There's her show.
There's her podcast.
I saw her and I was like, Renee Young? Like, I was questioning. I was like, was that her? Yeah. So she opens up the show. They're in Toronto, which I believe is where she's from. And I think this is the first show in Toronto that AEW's ever been to.
Yeah, it's their first international show at all.
Just outside of the United States is the first that they're... Really? I figured they had gone to Canada at least once before. But, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So we have FTR out in the ring at one point, and...
Oh, this is Tim's favorite segment.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who they were across the ring from. I want to say it was like Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony is their name.
Yeah.
And out comes a returning Shawn Spears, but this time he's a babyface. Tim loves Shawn Spears.
I love how they're like, what time does Rampage start? 10?
They're like 10. So they, before they didn't really cash in on the whole 10 gimmick in AEW, but now they brought it back. Which I guess if
he's going to be
the
a face.
10 thing, that was his like babyface kind of gimmick. And Tim actually liked Ty Dillinger in NXT back in the day.
The damage has been done. It's too late.
So, they're referring to them, the three of them, as the Pinnacle again. Except for now, it's like now the Pinnacle, and Wardlow is there to help them out too. So I guess kind of they are the Pinnacle.
All of them except for MJF,
and I guess Tully.
Yeah.
So Shawn Spears is back. He's Canadian. He had a decent pop in Canada. We had Swerve Strickland versus Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn still got it. The man,
dude, he's ripped.
He's in crazy shape.
That's insane.
But he ended up losing, I believe.
Yeah.
Out comes Mark Sterling and says that they are trademarking the word scissoring, so no one can do scissoring anymore or say the words. I don't know.
That's so a good way to prolong it. Because you feel like it might get old, or like, how like they win the titles and now it's like, all right, well, that's the steam's off. And now it's like, this is another way to kind of, I don't know,
smart Mark
make people want it again.
He's coming for him.
Scissor me, daddy abs.
Say something? Daddy ass.
No, he said daddy abs.
Taz on announcing daddy abs.
Yeah.
Well, even on the announcing.
And then he said daddy niece.
Oh yeah, he's like we're gonna say it now. But even Taz on the announcing will be like, scissor me, daddy ass.
And he's like, Tony, I bet you've heard that before. And he's like, what?
So after that, we had a Jon Moxley and Hangman promo. All right, guys. What? Jon Moxley is a good promo. Hangman Page, in my opinion, I've never really believed him. I know they're all acting. I know they're all acting, but
Hangman sucks.
I just don't believe his shit.
You didn't believe him when he punched himself in the face and made him start bleeding?
That was silly to me. That was just silly. I don't know. Maybe some people liked it.
I liked it. So I liked that little bit right before he was punching himself.
He said the medicine's not working.
Yeah, that part I was like,
fine.
Cool.
But then he starts punching him and I'm just like,
yeah. Then he was like checking himself like he was bleeding. I'm like, well, don't do that. Then you're gonna stop your promo and check yourself. I don't know.
And he's just like, you think I'm a kid? You think I'm a kid? He's like, I'm a man.
Oh man,
you're 31 trying to prove that you're a man to another man in the. I don't know.
And also when he said like, do you think I'm a kid? And Mox was like, yeah.
He's like, you all will believe what I say if I just yell louder. I just don't believe you. And I've never really been that high on Hangman Adam Page. Even the beginning of AEW, even in ROH times. Me and Tim saw him live against Punishment Martinez, who's Damian Priest, and I don't know, the crowd liked him, but I never got into him compared to some of the other elite guys.
He was my least favorite Bullet Club member, I will say.
Yeah.
I
like his
the
wrestling more than
guys.
his promo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what happened
during this segment, the crowd
when he won the title, it was just like wah, wah, wah. I don't know. For me, at least,
it was like a cool moment, and then the next, the next Dynamite after that, I was like, oh, like this is staying with them.
The thing is, they're trying to get this match over for next week, but yet the whole crowd, they have MJF watching up top. The whole crowd's chanting MJF.
Dude, I know, but that's also every week though. Everyone's
like, I'm going to be the next champion, and MJF's like, oh, really? Like sitting back, and then.
His facial expressions are really funny when he's watching them. Like when he's mouthing things because you can't hear him.
Yeah, he
had a good backstage promo too. After Stokely Hathaway came up, he told him to go away, and I forget exactly what.
Do you think he's gonna turn face because he's like that strike two for the firm basically, or for Hathaway?
No, I mean, I don't think he'll be a face. I think he'll just be an asshole, but like a lovable asshole.
Yeah. Kind of like when he did that, like I'm the devil and you all worship me, and everyone cheers.
Yeah. He's like, he's done the heel stuff to a point to where like you actually like him because you know how good he is.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Moxley and Hangman is happening next week or this week,
Moxley's
I believe.
Winning because it's in his hometown, and also why would you?
God, if Hangman Page wins again, Tony's like, we should give him another shot. Like, god damn. But they've already been setting up MJF versus Moxley, kind of like.
Yeah, so it's not. It's definitely not happening.
I don't know. Heyman was talking about, he's like, my friends are gone. You know.
Didn't he say like my old friends are gone too now, or something like that? Like
yeah, he's like some of them are gone, talking about Dark Order, and then he's like, my old friends are gone too.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like, all right, man. Yeah, we all know.
Also, just to point out, nobody has really been missing anybody. And I love Punk, but the show's doing fine. The show moves on.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I haven't even thought about them.
Well, talking about moving on, let's move on to the next match.
Transitions tonight, Andy.
We had Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson, I believe 3 for the ROH World Title. Pretty good. I mean, they've been pretty good matches between both of them every time. Jericho comes out as Lionheart, and he's that version of himself. Towards the end of the match, Jericho wants to use the belt on Danielson, and Danny Garcia comes in and tries to stop him, but he ends up grabbing the belt and hitting Danielson himself. Turned on him.
I don't understand.
Sinclair must have gotten to him.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, why hype up every week, like, just to turn it around? It seems like
and like the crowd was like so behind him, like they were getting so behind him to turn.
Yeah, it felt like it was a last minute decision. Is how whether it was or not, it just felt that way to me.
Yeah, it felt like they either they planned it like this for a while and they should have changed it.
Yeah,
or there's like, let's just go with this.
So Jericho wins the title retains the title from Bryan Danielson. Daniel Garcia is now back with the JAS. And that wasn't our only title match of the night, though. We ended the show with Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the All-Atlantic Championship. Good match. Crowd was really behind it. AEW fans, I think, besides us, are really behind Orange Cassidy. Maybe you are, Jeremy.
Like him still.
Yeah,
I kind of like him.
Maybe you are.
Like I thought.
I mean, the Will Ospreay match with
him
him was great, but week to week stuff, I just don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care about the best friends.
I thought this match was better than their one. I think they had wasn't on the pay-per-view. Pac and Orange Cassidy.
What, way back in the day?
No, like their second one they had.
Oh, okay.
I think it was on the pay-per-view. But either way, this one was better than the one they had.
I know.
Well, Orange Cassidy.
I know we've joked, but in my mind, Pac and Orange Cassidy have had like 500 matches against each other. This is just a match I feel like I've seen so many times for whatever reason.
This is like the third one in like 4 years.
And I'm like, dude, they've wrestled like 50 times.
Well, Orange Cassidy ended up winning the match with, I just call it a Superman punch. I don't know.
The Orange Punch, isn't it?
I was about to say, is it called the Orange Punch?
Crush?
It probably is. Yeah, that's a better name. I think he did 2 of them, and he won his title, which this is his first singles title, they said, ever.
Ever? I thought it was just an AEW.
I don't know. Excalibur said ever, but he may have meant just in AEW. Actually, he hasn't had any title at all, not even like a tag title.
Yeah.
And, it makes me wonder, it's in Death Triangle, stupid team, has the Trios tag. I wonder if they didn't have it, would Pac have kept the belt? But it's like now he doesn't have 2 belts anymore, and Orange Cassidy can have
He's not Tupac anymore.
He's not Tupac, no.
Tupac.
So yeah, how do you feel about Orange? I mean, the fans love it. But
I always like
Orange
the one thing I
Cassidy
do like when people win titles in AEW. It's like they have that confetti goes off, and it makes it feel like a big deal to end the show.
It's very
just that image. But yeah, I just I don't. this is the thing. Like, I'm like, that was a cool moment, but I don't really know what they do with him now because he's going to do his usual thing, like not going to try, put his hands in his pocket, and then we're all going to hate him again. So,
little dog pockets.
Yeah, and it's like he actually had a banger a few weeks ago. What was the match that we were all really praising him over? He had the hands out of his pockets.
It was more than a few weeks ago. I thought we were going to talk. I thought you were mentioning Will Ospreay, but if that's not the match you're thinking of, then I don't remember.
There was a different match that he had on Dynamite that was really good.
Was it a singles match?
Yeah, it was. But I just remember thinking, like, wow. I mean, the guy can go. I'm over the character at this point. It would be
the character, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's him. I think he, honestly, like, I think I could see him at some point. You could do something where he would be the perfect guy to turn heel and make really evil because nobody would ever see it coming. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It would just be like the guy that you're like, whoa.
He's
wait,
like, the hands are never going in the pockets again.
And then he just becomes like Sami Zayn on the mic.
He wears He wears a sweatsuit instead of a jean jacket and jeans. He just wears a sweatshirt and sweatpants.
Well, I mean, here
that would be actually pretty funny.
Crazier things have happened. Like, for example, I was saying that for the case of Sami Zayn, the guy, literally, his character in Ring of Honor and on the Indies for a decade was to be a generic luchador. That was literally his name, was El Generico, and to not talk.
I don't know. Is there proof out there that is him? You know?
Well, whatever. But the character was that he didn't talk.
Whatever.
And now look at him. This guy didn't want to talk for a decade. He's literally one of the best people on the microphone that the WWE has, and entertaining. You never know.
He's fantastic. Well, speaking of Sami Zayn, let's get into SmackDown because that's where he was this week. Which I don't even have it on here to talk about. My dog.
I was like, I don't see him.
My dog. Was that on Raw or no? Was that on Raw this week when he's like saying the yeet stuff? He's like, you don't say on Raw. We say yeet.
And he's
and
like,
Roman breaks character.
Yeah, when he says my dog, Roman has to turn his head.
He was talking to Matt Riddle. That's right.
Yeah. No, he was talking to Logan Paul. Logan Paul started laughing too.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. So Logan Paul came in during that Bloodline segment that opened up Raw. See, I didn't even mention Logan Paul.
Yeah, but that was
bad.
That was a funny segment. Wait, now we got it.
Can't remember everything, guys. Thank you.
You're good.
Which their match is beginning of November, I think.
Yeah.
Blood Money Jewel.
Bloody Jewels.
Blood Money Crown Jewel. Bloody Jewels. So yeah, SmackDown opened with Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre segment. Apparently Karrion Kross and Scarlett got in a car accident out back at the stadium. Or not stadium, the convention center, wherever they were at. Drew McIntyre runs out from the building and starts attacking and already hurt Karrion Kross. You've been in a car accident, I'm just going to beat you up even more. So apparently their feud isn't over yet. I figured it would be, especially with a match with a stipulation like that, but
yeah,
I don't know where you go from here. I mean, there's not a TLC pay-per-view coming up anytime soon,
Yeah, I definitely thought it was over too.
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Rey Mysterio shown backstage with Triple H, and he basically said, I can't wrestle my son. I won't fight him. I quit. And Triple H just grabs him by the shoulders. He's like, don't say that. And basically moves him to SmackDown instead. So I don't know if, maybe Survivor Series will get them pinned across each other in the ring in like a team match or something, or they'll save it for later.
That could be pretty good.
But Rey Mysterio says he will not fight him. One of my favorite parts of the night, we had L.A. Knight. Yeah. Wrestling Mansoor, whichever you want to say, of the Maximum Male Models. L.A. Knight's back, boy, and he's on SmackDown.
Dude, he looks so much better in this,
he's great.
Himself.
He's great. Tim, give him a chance. I couldn't tell though if the crowd got crowd noise pumped into them or not.
It's hard to tell on SmackDown, isn't it, with the crowd noise?
Yeah,
I feel like Raw, there's no crowd noise, like fake crowd noise. I mean,
but LA Knight's great. He got on the mic for a little bit afterwards. Dude, solid wrestler.
You can talk on the mic too.
Yeah, it was a short match, but he looked good during it, and he can really talk on the mic. He's really good on the mic, actually. If you listen to him, good look. Yeah.
Should have been LA Knight forever.
I was really surprised when he came up for the male model group, that Vince put him like that and didn't have him wrestle. He's kind of like the exact look that Vince would want. So
right.
I didn't understand that, but I'm glad that he's now doing this. Roxanne Perez from NXT joined Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi against Damage Control. I don't know if Roxanne Perez is going to stay on the main roster. She's kind of only been on NXT TV for a couple months. She was feuding with her best friend Cora Jade. I think she might be teaming up with Raquel though tomorrow night on NXT against Cora Jade and a partner of her choosing. But again, I guess I'll have to wait and see because I watch NXT. Don't you guys? You should get back into it, man.
Might have to start recording again.
Halloween Havoc, I think, is coming up either next weekend or probably Halloween weekend, I would assume.
Yeah.
Actually,
probably that.
Speaking of Halloween Havoc, I just wanted to throw in. I was going to throw this in at the Classic Show of the Week, but I have been watching so much old school WCW, like all the '90s Halloween Havoc shows, because there's a feature on Peacock where I guess you know how Netflix will ask you if are you still watching.
Yeah,
that kind of thing came up on Peacock, and I just turned it off. So now, literally, man, I'll just at nighttime put on one show, toss and turn for a while. Maybe I'll wake up at 4 in the morning. There's another one that's on. I've been watching so much WCW. Halloween Havoc's always a classic show, so it's cool that they brought it back.
People need to understand at Tim's house. We had a birthday party for his daughter this weekend, and the room Tim's in right now, he just left the TV on. Wrestling is just going on in the TV in a closed room the entire time.
24/7.
Literally. It's just pay-per-view after pay-per-view just going on.
Never stops.
I went to open up the door and put my jack in there, and I'm watching Cena versus Batista. I was like, what the hell is happening? And then hours later, I come back, and it's a different match. It's just going. Tim's all day, every day. Just going on in the back. He's like, you never know when I can pop into the room. I might want to just
I might just want to catch a clip. Catch a clip real quick when I'm in.
Yeah, I popped in there, and Tim's like, hey, we were at this, even though it's it's the forgotten pay-per-view in my mind. I don't remember being there.
Extreme Rules 2010, Batista versus John Cena, Last Man Standing. Andy was there. Andy doesn't remember being there.
I remember being there. I don't remember a single match.
That was only 12 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my bad. The main event of the night, in terms of match-wise, for SmackDown was supposed to be a fatal four-way for a number one contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship. It was supposed to be Sheamus, Solo Sikoa, Ricochet, and Karrion Kross, but because of how the show opened and Karrion Kross being quote-unquote injured by the car accident and Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio took his place. This match was actually pretty good, and in the end, Rey Mysterio ended up being the winner. So they took Rey Mysterio off of Raw to not fight his son, just to eventually get beaten fucking down by Gunther. Gunther's going to chop the hell out of little Rey Mysterio.
I've seen so many memes already, Rey Mysterio retirement party happening after this.
Dude, I don't think Rey Mysterio's ever been chopped so hard. I mean, not that it happened on the show, but I'm just saying it's whenever it happens, it'll be interesting. But Rey Mysterio seems to be over right now for the more over than he might have been in the past couple of years for a guy that's.
During this match, when it was him and Ricochet in the ring, like I was like, why couldn't we needed this when they
had good matches in Lucha Underground when he was Prince Puma.
Yeah,
I believe.
So I was like, those two, like, how have they not wrestled yet?
I think Tim showed me that match.
Yeah,
Prince Puma. When Ricochet was Prince Puma, that was like an amazing time.
Yeah, that was another cool time in wrestling. Underrated.
Wasn't it on Netflix? I think you could just watch it on Netflix or something at the time.
Yeah, you could watch all of
I know at the time. I don't know about now, but the actual way that SmackDown closed out its show this week was the return of Bray Wyatt. He has a new song. First of all, what's your guys' opinions on the new song? If anyone heard it,
I don't know yet. Like
I don't know yet either. I don't hate it, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I kind of like it, but I feel like I don't know. Like I wasn't expecting that. I think it's why I didn't love it.
So he comes out of his entrance. He comes out that same door from Extreme Rules. What, Tim?
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, there's been tons of songs where when I first heard them, I was like, eh, and then it really grows on you. Like Rollins' new theme, like when I first heard it, I was like, this sucks. But now it's it's become like a thing and it's catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I hated Roman's new theme song that he has for this character, and now I'm like, it's whatever. It fits.
Yeah,
it fits.
Well, it's way better because the B dude,
yeah,
that just wouldn't work with him now.
Yeah.
So Bray Wyatt, he comes out the same door that he appeared in at Extreme Rules, and he's just dressed like his normal self. He has a lantern come out, and he cuts a promo that had some, realism to it. Now, I've read online of people's theories behind it, and the whole Wyatt 6, that this is supposed to be maybe like the 6 personalities of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Maybe this is just one of them we saw. Maybe it was a mix of one of them and some real life things. Because I mean, you can't deny that some of the things he said was. So I mean, he addressed the universe. He addressed getting released, and going away. He addressed.
He didn't lose his wife because they got divorced.
And he said 2 people. Yeah, that. Well, I think he also at the same time lost his dad and Brody Lee.
Yeah.
So I am curious to see where it goes from there. His promo was cut off midway because now I found out the name of this character. His name is Uncle Howdy.
Oh.
Uncle Howdy popped up on the screen, and I don't know about you guys. It was hard for me to understand what he was saying, but he was actually
I didn't hear anything.
He was actually reading a poem.
He said, "Well,"
you can.
And then at the end,
but
then at the end of the poem, he said, "You got no idea who you're messing with, do you?" And then he starts laughing. He goes, "But you will, oh, you will." And then he goes, "Jump,
jump,
jump." So, let's talk about what's your guys' opinions on that promo of Bray Wyatt. At times it sounded like he was getting emotional, but was he just acting? Was it a mix of both?
I tell you what, it's got me hooked. I'm ready to see the next week. I need to know more about Uncle Howdy in the story. So I'm in.
There are people that think some of the characters' identities, one of them being Vincent from ROH, is one possible, they think. But yeah, go on, Jeremy. What you were going to say?
No, I do think it's that 6 personalities theory.
Why it's 6?
That feels like it makes sense. And also that he doesn't need to have a whole nother faction of people again. So I feel like he can be come out as himself and then he come out as a Fiend or whoever at whatever times he wants.
Like he's pulling a Mick Foley Mankind Dude Love.
Yeah, but like a serious one.
Yeah, but I think that'd be so cool. Like, you could have Swamp Master.
Comes out as Husky Harris one time.
Oh, no.
I don't think we're going to see Husky come back. But like, yeah, he can pull those personalities when he wants to. I personally would like to see the Fiend again and redone with another shot. Like, there was things that it could have been so. It just feels like something that was supposed to be like so big, and it was just kind of like a swing and a miss,
I'm curious if the Fiend had come like now, how Triple H would have booked it.
I don't think he would lose.
It sounded like he didn't like the fire. Yeah, it sounded like Triple H didn't like that. What's it called? The fire.
Mystical stuff is bullshit, though. With the whole what they were doing towards the very end in the Thunderdome with Alexa and the doll and the mystical powers, that
was not.
I didn't mind the Firefly Funhouse. I actually thought it was kind of fun, but once it started getting like,
we're really glad that you're
powers, and like the black, what was it, like the black like mist, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
I forgot how catchy the theme song with the Firefly Funhouse was.
Dude, it's great, man.
This is the friendship that'll never ever end. I used to sing it. My wife would get so mad.
But then when they showed the decrepit, when they showed the rundown version of it, it was like a toned down version of that song.
Yeah, it was like the tape was like the tape was like all messed up.
Yeah. So I am excited to see where they go from here. I really do like Bray Wyatt. I think he's super creative. Most of this stuff is like probably 90% his like ideas. So I think we'll see it little by little. Just like with the White Rabbit stuff, they were giving us little by little every week. I think we'll get a little bit every week until we get the whole picture, the whole puzzle. But I like what I saw. On Friday, I kind of wanted to hear him talking more, but it made sense with the interruption of Uncle Howdy coming in, and that mask is kind of cool. So it just confuses me because he came out of Extreme Rules with the mask, so maybe that was just that character, and then this was a different character than we saw at Extreme Rules.
But he took it off at Extreme Rules. I don't know. Maybe that's I don't know him.
Just explain it at some point is all I need.
Yeah.
I'm sick of thinking people are right on the internet.
Yeah. I look at like the TikToks on wrestling TikToks, and they're like, the guy has like a 20-minute theory of things. I'm like, can we not? I'm not going to listen to this guy. Yeah. Just wait until the show.
People really thought Karrion Kross was like part of the group. It's like, nah, dude, he's doing his own thing. He also doesn't need the Bray Wyatt rub right now. Like he's in a feud with the top star like Drew McIntyre.
Right.
So, you guys have anything else to add, or do you want to get into Rampage?
The one match for Rampage?
One match of Rampage, but I did forget about the in-ring segment with the JAS and Danny Garcia talking about, kind of why he joined or came back to Chris Jericho. Basically saying he is a sports entertainer is what he realized.
When was JR officially moved to Rampage instead of Dynamite?
I didn't even.
It's like a couple of weeks ago.
Kind of feels
never
like
actually said anything.
What, did him and Taz switch spots?
I guess so.
Yeah, it's Taz, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur now for Dynamite, which I kind of like. I don't mind because Taz and Excalibur are like really funny together.
I mean, is it the schedule? Like the amount of time being out there for JR? I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe they're trying to make
is Tony like, hey man, you're too quiet during Dynamite. It's like, yeah, because some of the stuff was bullshit. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, they can edit JR now on Friday.
Yeah, that is true.
Like JR is ruining the product. Just talking shit about it live on air while it's going on.
I used to love
count him,
when
ref.
he's like I don't know, maybe if the referee did something. Like he always adds in like funny ass like comments like that.
He's always like, the ref should be counting right now. I'm like, get them out of the ring.
But no, Jeremy, you were right. I do only have one match written down to talk about Rampage, which was the main event, and it's not really about the match itself. Oh, if you guys look at TV right now, that's Cora Jade on the left, and she dates Braun Breaker. She used to date this guy that has had a couple of matches on AEW, actually.
Braun Breaker's like, yeah, I love a goth chick with a lip ring.
So the match was the Pinnacle versus, which is FTR and Shawn Spears versus Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. Less about the match. The winners were the Pinnacle in the end.
When I played football in high school, bro, when I played football in high school, I always used to think the goth chicks was so hot. I was like, man, one of these days I'm going to get one for me.
He was also on the Ravens.
Listen, there was goth chicks watching the Ravens too. Okay,
he's like, that's why she got purple and black hair. He's like, that's why she got purple and black hair right now.
For the Ravens. For the Ravens, boss.
Ravens fucking suck, bro. No, he doesn't sound like that at all.
I know.
He sounds like Scott Steiner.
Yeah. Who also sounds like what I'm saying.
Oh. So at the end of that match, JBL's back. At the end of that match, the Kingdom came out. I haven't seen anything whether they signed with AEW, but they are a group in ROH, correct?
Yeah, so they're basically with the AEW.
Yeah, so it's Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Mike Bennett's wife, Maria Kanellis Bennett. They are the Kingdom. I forget what Matt Taven's group was before. It might have been the Kingdom, because he was kind of like a king-ish. This was like 2 years ago. It might have been the Kingdom, and maybe just swapped out members. They come out, and they're not out there to help the Pinnacle. And out come War Joe is what they're calling him, and to help them out. So it looks like we're going to get maybe a 5-on-5, the Pinnacle and War Joe against Brian Cage, Gates of Agony, and Matt Bennett and Matt Taven.
Some big guys in that match.
Big guys in that match. Now, Matt Bennett, when he was signed to WWE briefly with Maria, what was his name? Does anyone remember?
Mike Bennett?
Mike Bennett? Or no, his name is Mike Bennett. Sorry. Matt Bennett. I don't think he was Mike Bennett in WWE.
If you're a
Wardlow
groupie, does that make you a Ward?
Oh, I remember now.
Okay. You can mute your mic.
Tim, cut off. No. Okay, so if you guys remember, when him and Maria came to WWE, they made him take her last name. He was Mike Kanellis.
That was right.
He was like played like beta compared to her as that was like their whole thing. Like she was the boss.
Weird time. Yeah.
Weird time. Vince idea.
Yeah.
So they are married in real life, but that's how Rampage went off the air. Again, I feel bad every week. I don't have shit to say about Rampage, but
yeah, they don't put anything on it.
Make a better show.
And you can't you can't say, oh well, look, Friday night is a good time, is a tough time slot, but tell to all the people watching SmackDown, still getting 2 million views or whatever they're getting. So,
well, that starts at 8 instead of 10. And it's also on Fox.
But I'm saying it's a Friday night. Like, people can stay up. Like, if you really wanted to watch wrestling, you could.
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
they're like, I don't want to watch this jobber show.
That wraps it up, though, Tim.
All right. Well, if that wraps it up for the week, I will take us to our classic show of the week, which I'm going to keep it short and sweet this week. Classic show of the week is No Way Out 2004, where you can watch one of the greatest wrestlers of all time win the WWE Championship against Brock Lesnar, and that man is
it's a good one.
Yeah, and that man is Eddie Guerrero. I recommend this show just for this match alone, particularly. If you don't know the story, there's a whole, I think it's on Peacock. I think they kept it on there. It's called Cheating Death, Stealing Life, the Eddie Guerrero story. And it's the documentary of Eddie Guerrero, and you can learn about his life. And I would recommend watching that and then watching this match because it is it's a work of art. It's beautiful, and the
also, I want to add when it comes to that. Sorry, I don't know how much of the storyline build up to it they show, but Eddie Guerrero had a fantastic promo about the demons he's battled throughout the years leading up to this match.
Yeah, they do a video.
Most of that promo on YouTube, but
yeah, you can find that promo on YouTube, and then they also, but before the match, do a video, a classic WWE video package, kind of a fight video that kind of hypes everything up. That they used to do that a lot with a big, cool song in the background, and then they would lead into the match. But that's my recommendation. Can't go wrong. Seriously, it's a feel-good moment in wrestling, which you always need more of, and that one's a cool one. And I think that wraps it up. So thank you for joining us for episode 56. So excited to be back next week for episode 57. We hope, if I can't talk, we hope you all have a great week wherever you are listening to us, in the car, on your drive home, on the way to work, out back on your patio. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody, and we'll see you next time.